show tonight, so I hope everybody enjoys themselves, and I'm your announcer, Mike Apple. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a fun show tonight, I'm positive. John's all anxious to come out. Here he is, John Berkey.
John. Thanks, Mike, but your introduction gets longer and longer every week, and America's sick of you.
Thanks, John.
Anyway, I have Judy Kaler countdown calendars for the band. I don't think they got these before the show, but tonight is the big night, and he's already got one, so it came out just perfect. So how's the band doing tonight?
Pretty good.
And the band's going to be featured a little
Yes,
later on, right? And there was actually a practice.
Yes.
No, there was a practice last night at your house, right?
Yes.
When I dropped by, there was basketball going on, but no, they assured me there was a good practice. And what did you say the number involves? What, dancing or something?
A little bit.
Well, you guys get all ready for that, and you can just sit there and meditate for a few minutes while me and Mike talk. Anyway, of course, tonight is the night of Judy Kaler, so we've been having this ongoing countdown calendar for how many weeks? What did we start, about 5 weeks?
5 weeks.
Yeah, thanks, 5 weeks.
5 weeks. Yeah.
And we've had a calendar girl come out here and rip a number off every week and shake and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, she's out here tonight, and boy, do we have something big tonight. She's out here to take the final number off. Here is our calendar girl.
Yeah! Wow! Oh, yeah, it worked.
We had 10-to-1 odds before the show that wouldn't work.
Pay up, everybody.
You won't believe how many times they fell down. Give them to the band. Let them pop them or something. Oh, it wasn't that neat.
Yeah.
That was neat. Anyway, we're going someplace this weekend, aren't we, Mike? I have a thing here from that. We're going to a convention this weekend with Mr. Woodward.
Yeah. Gee, John, he's our roommate, isn't he?
No, yeah, we're going to be roomies. No, anyway, he sent us this rule sheet the other day, and I was reading through it, and I found a couple of them rather stringent, and I thought we'd, see what Washington thinks about these rules. The first one, Mike, here, I thought was pretty lenient. It says a retiring hour of 1:30 a.m. will be observed and enforced. Key clubbers are expected to be in their own rooms at this time.
Sounds
I thought this was kind of weird because I thought key clubbers were supposed to be in bed at 9:30 or something. I didn't.
Right after they had their glass of milk.
I didn't know they could stay out past midnight. I thought they'd turn pumpkins or something. And of course, care shall not be taken to deface or destroy any property, or to throw objects from windows. Now, Mr. Woodward, I think that means you have to take the water balloons out of your suitcase. Okay? I know your wife packed them all up for you and throw them at passerbys down by the hotel. We're not interrupting, guys, are we?
No, so we got a chat over there.
They're arguing about who's going to dance. And here's another rule that really kind of upset me. It says gambling, use of fireworks, firecrackers, and in brief, any action unbecoming of a key clubber is not allowed.
Well, John,
Now this really, no.
What is a key clubber?
Now, just a minute. Now this made me really upset because I had my firecrackers all ready to go. I mean, every vacation I go on, I take firecrackers.
That's
don't you?
unbecoming of a key club
Yeah,
member?
what exactly does
What is a
unbecoming
key
of a
club
key
member?
club member mean? Is there
Let's
the
have a definition.
stereotype key club member somewhere?
Mr. Woodward.
No.
He was a key clubber when he was in school.
Yeah, were you a key clubber? No. All key clubbers are expected to conduct themselves as responsible young adults.
Well, I better not go.
You think we can do that? I don't know if Hampson can do that one either. Coats and ties are mandatory, and again, unbecoming of a key clubber. They use it again. Also, this one now, this makes sense. But it says no females shall be allowed in the room of any male key clubber, or vice versa. But they don't say anything about the linen closets, so so that kind of leaves it open for interpretation. I hope we didn't get in trouble with that one, huh?
I think we
don't
did,
think
John.
so. No, so I'm looking forward to the convention and mellowing Mr. Woodward out once we get off the school property.
Bring the whoopee cushion.
Yeah. Did you pack your whoopee cushion yet, or should I take mine?
We've got one, and you don't know where it's gonna pop up. Or pop, for all that matter.
Anyway, it's what time is it now? It's toe board time, isn't it? I have the
I
toe
haven't
board
watched
pen
it.
right here. What? Do we have a donation, Mike? Let's rove to the toe board.
Cookies.
Yeah, keep going. I love it. I feel like on the Bozo show. No, what? Yeah, do we have buckets? Who's this donation from? First of all, what's the date? You want to check your calendar there? Smile. 27. 3. 27.
Thursday's the 20th.
Gee,
band,
John,
I
let's
can
put
know.
on a year on that, too.
No. All right. What is that now?
They're Nutter Butter Peanut Butter Sandwich Cookies from Nabisco. Write all that down.
Nutter bars. We'll put that wherever that is. Now, who exactly is making this donation?
Mrs. Hatfield, because she says she wants to apologize for your near heart attack before the show.
Oh, jeez. I don't. Yeah, I don't know if we'll talk about that. Mrs. Hatfield. She didn't make it tonight, did she? It's probably a good
No.
thing, too. Do we have another donation?
I gave you a glass of soda and I gave away some other stuff too.
No, yeah, I can't put you on the toe board again. But I did appreciate the free soda.
No, I did give it to other people too, so I can get on there. Wait, John, don't we accept passes out of classes? Anybody out there want to give us any passes? Like maybe
Mrs. Knapp.
Maybe first, second, and third hours. Well, we'll put you down. You can give them to us later. You know?
Yeah. This and the free roses, right? This is a tote we make as
Put down Miss
encouragement.
Druin unless Mrs. Knapp can't give us to it. You know.
Put who down now?
Miss Druin in case Mrs. Knapp won't give them to us. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's close enough, Mike. Thanks, guys. I can't put you on again, though. You know, we gotta, gotta do something about that happy music. Anyway, let's tell Washington what your mom did to me before the show. Just go ahead and tell.
Okay,
The
John.
phone rings at 5:45 tonight. I'm right in the middle of dinner. Tell it.
Mrs. Hatfield picks up the phone. Of course, she picked up the phone, or how would she call John? But it's besides the point. She picks it up. She calls John, and she says, "Hello, may I speak to Mr. John Berkey?" Now, on the other side of the line, you see Mr. Berkey handing the phone to John. That's irrelevant.
Actually, it was
too,
my
though.
sister, but it doesn't
Okay.
make much difference.
So,
It's an intricate part of the story.
Yeah.
Just tell the story,
makes a
Mike.
difference. So she said, "John, this is Judy Kaler, and I'm in Springfield right now, and I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to the show tonight." So at 8:30
No,
or
she said she could be here by about 8:30 or 9. So I'm thinking to myself, what are we going to do with 30 people for an hour and a half?
Nutter Butter Peanut Butter
yeah.
Sandwich Cookies.
No, but that wasn't the real Judy Kaler, and she's really here, and she's going to come out here in just a few minutes. But our band now has that
That feature we've been
that
hearing
promise feature. Jim, are you guys ready now, Jim?
about. Oh, silly people. Here we go.
That dancing was great, guys.
Yeah.
No, that was a real good feature. It was as well as promised, and they even went to how many practices for that, Jim? One. Well, there were like 3 planned, but you're on the 1 out of 3 plan. Usually get everybody at 1, right?
John, whatever happened to the mystery tune?
To the what?
The mystery
Yeah,
tune.
Jim, come here. What was the mystery tune? You never told
Play it, Jim.
on TV.
Come on, Jim. You can do it.
Play it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim,
I
sure.
Anybody ever claim their prize?
Yeah. Has anybody
Mr.
ever
Tallman
sent in?
guessed it. But personally, I think it was rigged. Go ahead.
Dancing in the dark.
Yeah, hold on.
Gosh. That was great, John.
Anyway, enough of this pre-show stuff. We're gonna get her out here before before Jim kills himself.
Or better yet, somebody else.
Well, here she is, the lady you've seen all around our school with pictures and the Kaler countdown. Ladies and gentlemen, Judy Kaler. She comes in with a bang. No, yeah, where was security on that? Yeah, So what does it feel like to have this countdown calendar? I think we sent you a picture. Did you get that?
Well,
We sent
yes,
you one
I'm
of those
just
in the mail.
delighted. I did not anticipate that I would be met with a pep band and I have a regular greeting group here. I really
This is
appreciate this.
Nothing but the best for this show.
Oh,
that's-
well, I'm very impressed.
That's what we always say. Hey, if it's stats crew or anything, we have all this stuff.
Well, you are a very professional group. I can't help but be impressed.
You ought to see them at one of their practices.
I'm so glad I brought my own 2 teenagers
Yeah,
along.
you brought your 2 kids
I
with
thought
you.
it would be a good educational experience for them. Now I'm beginning to have my doubts.
No, I know, yeah. The balloons, I knew they wouldn't work right. Anyway, so how are things down in Springfield? I guess we'll start off that way, where Mrs. Hatfield said you were at.
Yes, I just came home from Springfield last week. We actually are on our Easter break, and that's one of the reasons I could be here this evening. We've taken 2 weeks before we go back into legislative session, and then we will be in Springfield every week for until the 4th of July.
So you go there just on the weekends?
No, we go down Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday every week between now and the 4th of July.
Okay, so you don't live down there.
No,
but just
I
for
don't.
Those 3 days,
I don't live down there. Essentially, the time we spend in Springfield, the majority of it is spent during the months of April, May, and June. And after we adjourn on June 30th, well then I will be at home in my district until there are 2 weeks in October when we go back for our veto session, where we act upon those bills that the governor vetoes or changes in some way. And then we will be home again until January, when we'll go down for the State of the State message. And February we go down for 1 day for the budget message. But other than that, the majority of our time is spent out in the district helping people and our constituents and doing television programs like this.
But you do a lot of traveling then, huh?
Yes,
I mean,
I do.
going down there once a week until July has got,
Yes,
Doesn't-
it's 113 miles from my front door.
From your front door, okay.
Yes, to the Capitol.
How many
and,
steps into the Capitol? You probably got that all.
There are 15.
Okay. So you've done that a lot of times, and that probably gets kind of
Yes.
tiring, doesn't it, have
Well,
to make that trip?
no, I tell you, it still continues to be a very challenging occupation for me. I'm starting my 5th year now, and I enjoy it more all the time. As one begins to be more comfortable with the process of dealing with legislation and sponsoring legislation, fighting legislation to which you are opposed, I think you become more familiar with it and
So
therefore
it gets a
even
little
more
easier,
effective.
you kind of learn
Yes.
the ropes, that kind of thing. Now you say
Certainly.
it's been 5 years
Yes, I'm starting my 5th year.
as a state representative. Did you hold any public office before that?
No, I was trained in business. I have a business degree, and I was trained in merchandising. I started out at Carson Perry Scott in Peoria as a
Which
ladies,
is no longer.
as a hosiery and glove buyer, and then I went on. I have also taught and been a social worker. But of course, right now, my main concern has to be my two teenage children. You know, I have to make certain, like you, that that they are raised in an appropriate manner.
An appropriate manner, yeah. Now, you wouldn't
Right.
expect anything mischievous from them, would you?
Oh, no, not at all. I know all you kids are nothing but the
No,
epitome and
no, we're the
wonderful
new
example.
generation, the generation of the '80s. We
That's
never.
right. Conservative folks.
We didn't grow up in the '60s like Mr. Woodward, where there were riots and
Oh,
everything.
well, I can tell Mr. Woodward's got problems, and if he doesn't have them now, he's going to have them this weekend, right?
What little Harry has is going to stand on end.
Oh, you're in for it.
I get one in every show. It's just kind of the old show motto. Do you do any of those other jobs now while you're being a representative, like you said, or do you just be a representative? Is that your
Well-
only occupation?
Well, of
as
course,
such?
I am a homemaker. That's got to be my number one concern because I have a family
Yeah.
and that I have to attach the highest priority to it. And we have a little family-owned department store in Henry, where we live. It's been in our family for now a little over 100 years. And so I still try to keep an interest in that because of my background in merchandising and retailing. And I think that the experience I have had in retailing stands me in very good stead for my work in the state legislature, because one of the major things that we do in the state legislature is to decide how the taxpayer's dollar is to be spent. And I think the business principles
Yeah.
that I have learned through my education
to
and through
apply
my
them
work.
there, same
Yes,
thing.
and I think that we would be better off if more individuals had had that type of training, so that there was more awareness of the importance of using efficient practices even in government.
What drove you 5 years ago to run for this office?
Well, of
mean-
course, I had just mainly been interested in volunteer and political campaigns before.
So
and
did
I,
you help with other people's
Yes,
campaigns?
I had
that
helped
kind of
with
thing?
other people's campaigns, but I'd never run for a political office myself, not even in high school. I had not run for the president of my class. I was always the business manager or the treasurer of every organization because of my business background. But I became angry at what I felt was inappropriate representation for our particular district in our state legislature, and I was concerned at that time over there was the legislature in a lame duck session. That means after the election, voted themselves a 40% pay increase at a time when everyone else was being asked to cut back.
yeah.
I felt that was inappropriate, and that led to my getting involved not only in that particular issue, but in the movement to reduce the size of the House of Representatives. We, at that time, I passed petitions and worked hard on the movement to reduce the size of the House of Representatives from 177 state representatives down to 118 representatives. And I was active in that movement, and that became a big part of my campaign.
Of
And
course,
at
that was
that
probably
time, I
done
was
to
successful.
save money, right?
Well, yes, it was done to save money, and they felt as if it would be a more accountable and more efficient state legislature. People were dismayed at the conduct that they saw coming out of the state legislature and the method by which they were using to pass certain pieces of legislation, and
So it was
felt that
just
it was
too
time
big,
for a
too,
change.
that kind of thing.
Yes,
Just-
there was a great movement throughout the state for a change in our practices in state government, and I came about and got interested because of that movement.
Okay. Now, how long have you? Do you want to? When's your next election?
Well, I will be filing my petitions in November for re-election. The next election will be the March primary, March of 1986.
Which will be a year from
Yes,
now.
essentially a year from right now.
How long does your term run? 2
My
years?
term runs 2 years.
Okay, so are you going to run again?
Yes, I'll be running again.
Now, do you plan to keep running again? I mean, do you?
Oh,
I
sure.
mean, you
I
sound like
love
you like
what I
doing
do.
it.
I do. I love what I do, and I'm very hopeful that I will continue to be reelected and can represent the people of my district. And I have tried to vote in a way that is agreeable with the majority of my constituents, and hopefully I'll
Now, do
continue.
you really try to do that? I mean,
Of course.
do
Yes.
you like send out? In fact, I think we've gotten things at our house.
Yes, I send
from-
out,
from you, like questionnaires,
yes, a
things?
newsletter that tells them what I've done in the last session, and then asking their opinions on certain issues that I believe are going to be important in the next
So
session.
you really do tally all those up and look at.
Yes,
what
I do, and
people
I
say.
try, when I go out and make speeches, I generally allow for a time for question and answers, and that is one of the best ways to find out what is on people's minds. They have an opportunity to ask me a question, and but with the frequencies of the questions, well, then I can more or less determine what's important to them.
Well, now, do you have any plans on going any farther in politics?
Well, of
You don't
course,
have any higher
one is always flattered when one is asked that particular question, but I do enjoy very much what I do. There are those who have suggested that I might look at other races, and of course, one always does look at those possibilities, but at this time, I anticipate I'll be
You're
filing-
happy right now,
that's
and
right.
next year you are going to run again for the same
Yes.
spot. But so you're leaving it open for the future, though.
Oh, of course.
Okay, let's talk about some of the issues. I'm sure you've read this. It was in the Journal-Star yesterday.
Yes?
I was just reading the paper last night and was reading the editorial page, and the first sentence in the Journal-Star's editorial caught my eye.
Oh, it
and I
caught
said,
my
I've got
eye,
to read
too.
this. The first sentence is, Representative Judy Kaler is going about it all wrong.
Yes,
And-
I tell you, I was clutched there for a moment.
No, but anyway, what it goes on to say, it talks about the committee or the Compensation Review Board that was set up.
Yes.
And just a couple months ago, they made big news because they indicated that all of the representatives and the governor and a lot of state officials ought to receive pay increases, right?
That's correct.
And you're trying to get this compensation board out of existence, right?
Yes, well, I am trying to rework the method by which the Compensation Board acts. I think it's important to point out that the Compensation Review Board is a group of unelected, appointed members who are given the ability to set legislative, executive, and judicial salaries. That is what they are supposed to do. However, our state constitution says that setting salaries is the responsibility of the state legislature. We, in our constitution that we swear to uphold, are given the responsibility for setting those salaries. And I believe that it is wrong to give that responsibility to a group of unelected appointees. Now, the reason why that is wrong is because that is a threat to representative government. And when I say it is a threat, the reason it is a threat is because these appointees are not accountable to the voters of Illinois. There is no way that the voters
voters can't vote them out if
they
they don't
cannot
like what
vote
they
them
do.
out if they do not perform in a manner which they would like to see them perform. We are the lawmakers, and the Constitution says that salaries shall be set by law by the legislature.
So it's really unconstitutional.
That's correct.
to do
We
that.
are the lawmakers. Those appointees are not lawmakers. They are not accountable to you when you are a voter. They are not accountable to your parents. They are not accountable to anyone except the politicians who put
Yeah.
them in their appointed positions. So I
that's
am
really
opposed to that.
why it's wrong.
That's correct.
So how are you trying to get? I guess the Journal-Star, what they disagreed with was the method. I guess you were using to
Well,
try and get them
they
out
were
or
doing
whatever.
that tongue-in-cheek. I have said, now those who are advocates of the Compensation Review Board say, well, it's a very sensitive subject, you know, it's a volatile one, nobody wants to vote on their pay raise. However, we are given that responsibility by law. We know that when we run for office. We know that's our
So in other words,
responsibility. We
to
ask
change
for
that,
it.
the Constitution
All
would have
right,
to be changed.
yes, but what the Journal-Star editorial was saying is, and I agree with them completely, if the state legislature gives the responsibilities for setting salaries to a group of unelected appointees, well, then they can also take other sensitive subjects, such as tax increases.
Yeah,
And if
exactly.
they
That's
don't
what I
want to
said,
vote
yeah.
on tax increases, well, then they can appoint a revenue enhancement board. And they can say to that board, well, now you recommend the tax increases, and unless we vote no, well, then
yeah.
it goes into law. It goes into law.
And the governor
And you
has
see,
said
that's
here-
wrong. And they can do that for any topics if the precedent
Yeah,
is allowed
sure.
to be set.
So but it also said in here like the governor doesn't have veto power.
That's right. The
So
governor-
it says in
yeah,
here what
that's right.
the review board just has to indicate the pay raises, and if they're not, and if the legislature doesn't do anything about them, the governor can't do anything
That's
about
right.
them. If they just go into
If
effect.
there's not a
right?
maverick in there like myself who will fight them,
Mm-hmm.
well, then they just automatically go into law.
Now, what happened to the pay increases were pretty large. I mean, for like the governor, didn't they recommend he make almost $100,000 a year?
Yes, the first
And-
recommendation was $90,000, and the second recommendation was $85,000. He would make $85,000. The Supreme Court justices would make $85,000. The lower court justices, $80,000. and then it went on through all of the executive branch and the judicial branch and the legislative branch, and in total, it will mean upfront $8 million was the cost of it. But there are so many individuals who are tied to that in various ways that it potentially could of course cost over $10 million
So do you think these
yearly.
people? Do you think these people deserve the pay increases?
Well, there are some that of course do, but I am
You're
not
just saying that their
quarreling
money-
with the amount as much as I am the method.
Yeah, okay,
I
I
am
see what you're
opposing
saying.
the method
So you
by
think
which
if it was
they
done
have gone.
right, if it was done
That is
in a
correct.
different way?
If they would have the courage to address the question the way that they should be addressing it, well then I think that it could be considered in light of the fact that the need and the constraints of their job, and it should be addressed in an upfront and a forward manner. But when they go about doing an end run around the Constitution, well then that makes citizens angry. And because they are angry, they begin to lose respect for the legislature. And then when they lose respect for the legislature, then they lose respect for the very laws that
Sure,
we
yeah.
enact. And so I think that that is contributing to the problem that we see where being a politician is not a highly respected position.
Yeah, that certainly happens.
Unfortunately.
Now you don't believe, though I don't think that the representatives do deserve pay increases. In fact, don't you give part of yours back, part of your salary back to the state treasury, right?
Yes, I do. If you will recall, I had mentioned to you one of the reasons
Yeah,
I
that's what you
ran
said you thought,
5
yeah.
years ago was because I was dismayed at the manner in which that was done. That was done in a very surreptitious, underhanded manner also.
Mm-hmm.
And I opposed it. And after I was elected, I felt that I could not honestly oppose it so strenuously on the other hand, and then pocket
Exactly,
it
and
with
then
the
take
other.
the money. That's
That's
what a lot
right.
of them did, right?
That's right. So I have given it back to the state every year since I've been elected. And one of the reasons why I continue to oppose dramatic increases in the legislative salary is because I believe that we are better off if we have what has traditionally been in Illinois, that is the citizen legislator. The citizen legislator who is much like myself. My primary obligation is at home, in our family business, in our family home, and I believe that by allowing people who are like farmers, small businessmen, even dentists or chiropractors serve in the state legislature, they have more practical knowledge of the laws that we are trying to enact that govern these particular occupations. You know, we have teachers who serve in the state legislature, and because they are there, they can tell us the practical application of these laws that we are enacting.
So
They
you can get it
say-
from all
yes,
different kinds
that's
of people.
right.
It
So
helps
I
out a
think
lot
that
that
a
way.
citizen legislator is a more articulate legislator with respect to the legislation we enact. Furthermore, a citizen legislator is a less costly legislator because a citizen legislator doesn't have time to spend their entire time in Springfield enacting new laws, new rules, new regulations that are only going to end up costing the taxpayers more. Last year, we had over 5,000 bills introduced into the state legislature during one session. Now, that's 5,000 ways to change your life. Now, I can't think of 5,000 different ways to change my life,
Yeah.
but collectively they did.
There were 5,000.
And you know, that all costs money. And so I think that we would be better off if our legislature went to Springfield, did our work, and went home.
So it'll all work out a little bit better
That's right.
that way. Now, what are some of the big things that are going to be coming up in
Well,
the
of course,
legislature?
I can't appear here tonight on a school program without mentioning that education, of course, will
now,
be...
hasn't the governor proposed?
Yes, the
a
governor
big
has
reform in that?
proposed a $230 billion increase for what he is terming Teach Illinois. He has Build Illinois for the economy and
Exactly.
Teach Illinois for
Make Illinois a great
education.
place to live, right?
Right. A happy place, I believe is going to be the
yeah,
slogan.
I heard about the new
That's
slogan,
right.
yeah.
And the reforms that he is proposing as far as education are going to be in the area of student preparation. They're going to be in the area of teacher preparation and in education financing. Those will all be areas where we will be working.
Now, do you support this
Well,
increase in the education budget?
What happens is the governor makes his proposals. And then after he has made the proposals and the initiatives, well, then the legislature takes his proposals as well as all of the other proposals. There are also 4 other major committees that have put together proposals for education reforms. So what we will do between now and June 30th is look at all those proposals and decide which ones we will support and which ones will not go into law. And in general, some of the governor's proposals will end up on June 30th as passing. Some of them will not. There are other major initiatives, one by a committee of the state legislature, another one by the State Board of Education. All of those things will have to be addressed.
Well, I think Mrs. Knapp's behind you on the on the education one. She
Well, Mrs. Knapp sent me a very good study that you have put together here at Washington High School, and it has to do with the your Tough Love program and the efforts that you are making in the area of substance abuse. And I think that you are certainly to be congratulated, and Mrs. Knapp, for her interest and all of the rest.
we love her. See, Mrs. Knapp has been a guest on this program 2 times, and she gets embarrassed every time. And now she's even in the audience, and I can embarrass her. I can get her on all fronts now.
She should be very complimented. In my office one day, I had a person from another school board, and they were looking at that, and they asked me if they couldn't borrow that to copy for their school. So they thought it was that good. So I think
Maybe you ought to write a book, Mrs. Knapp. Just call it Dean.
Well, I can tell she's getting plenty of material.
Oh. There's another book going on in the school. We won't talk about that. Anyway, one of the other things you mentioned besides education reform is the Build Illinois program,
Yes.
as far as economically goes. And what do you think about that? There, of course, it's been in the news over and over again. First, Chrysler was going to try and come here, and then, of course, now they're decided to go overseas. But like the GM Saturn plant, Illinois is trying to lure that.
Well, I would make 2 points. You've brought up Build Illinois and you've brought up the Saturn plant. Maybe I'll address the Saturn plant first,
Okay.
and then we will go on to the Build Illinois program. I am convinced that Illinois has at least a 50-50 chance to be in the final round of states that are going to be selected for the Saturn plant. I think that there are probably going to be 3 out of the 50 states that survive, and I think that one of them will be Illinois. All indications point to the fact that Illinois is going to be in that final cut. And if Illinois has a chance at that particular project, well, then I believe that Central Illinois has a major opportunity to have that somewhere within our area. I think that most of us will grant that even if it doesn't come to our community of Washington or where I live in Henry, that we will profit if it is
Sure.
within 50
It
to
means
100
what,
miles from us.
6,000 jobs?
6,000 jobs. And for every one of those jobs that are created, they create another 2.5 service industry jobs. So we could be talking upwards to 20,000 jobs that are created simply by having the Saturn plant
Yeah.
locate somewhere in our
So it would
area.
mean a lot to the whole state, no matter where it was
absolutely.
located.
And I think that we are in the running, mainly because of our transportation network and our environmental, the ability to offer a place that can be environmentally correct. Nowadays, the environment is of such a major concern that that has to be a very significant consideration.
Well, now, what's the tax deal, though? I've read a lot in the newspapers that the reason companies are leaving Illinois and all is because the corporate tax system in Illinois is the highest of any of the states around here. Is that really true? I mean, what's the deal there?
The reasons why we are not having companies locate here like we would like to have them locate here and our current industries expand like we would like to have them expand, it is not just one tax. It is probably a whole mixture of taxes, regulations. It is not due to one cause, but I guess you could term it all of these things working together makes the cost of doing business in Illinois higher than in our surrounding states and our Sunbelt states. And because it costs more to make their product here, well, then their product is not as competitive as Indiana's product we don't undersell them. Our price is higher than that. So if you are going to be asking people to come to Illinois, you have to have the ability to offer them a climate where they can do business at the same or less than the other states,
Sure,
because they're going to go where they can make the most profit. You know, that is the bottom line. They're going to go where the cost of doing business is lower so that they can get the most out of their particular investment. And what Illinois has got to do, we have to look at our whole mix of incentives and make certain that those things that we have are positive, are certainly relayed to those individuals who want to invest in Illinois, but those things that are not positive, like our tax climate and some of those things that are minuses on our scorecard, are improved so that we meet the competition. And that's what we've got to do in Illinois. It's just
So is
simply,
that going to happen?
well, I'm very hopeful. I see some signs. However, I think that we still have a long way to go. You've seen the comparisons in the studies. The Journal Star did one between the state of Illinois and the state
Yeah, I
of
saw it. They
Indiana,
compared a whole
and
bunch
we
of
came
different
up
things.
short.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's no other way of terming it. We came in second on that. And so if we are serious about improving the business climate in Illinois, we will look at those things that are so detrimental to those companies that we are asking to locate here. And very importantly, keeping those companies that are already here. We don't want them to leave either.
Which has happened, right?
Yes,
In a
we
lot
are
of
seeing
instances.
that. Yes, we are seeing that, and that is certainly a sad thing because those people are here. We must keep them here.
I don't think we can hardly get you off of here without saying something about drunk driving. Because
Ah.
you were a big advocate to get some of those bills passed,
Yes. Yes,
right? You want to say a few words about that?
Well, sure. One of the reasons why I am an advocate of getting the drunken driver off the road is because when I was your age, my Uncle Frank was killed by a drunken driver. And not only did that drunken driver kill my Uncle Frank, but a month after my Uncle Frank was killed, that same driver got drunk again and killed another individual. And that has stayed with me all of my
Yeah.
life. And so
Well,
now
something
I
should
have
have
an
been done
opportunity.
after the first
That's
time.
right.
Yeah.
And now I have an opportunity to do something about that. And so I have joined with many others who also feel that it is time for society to no longer tolerate the lovable drunk. That guy is no longer being tolerated in our society. It's no longer funny when you
Yeah.
see the guy weaving
Behind
down
the
the road.
wheel. It's a
That's
little
right.
different story,
People
yeah.
aren't ready. They aren't willing to take that anymore, and they want to get them off the road. And I have done my best to support those laws and to help initiate those things that are going to get that drunken driver off the road.
In fact, one of the things wasn't trying to get the national drinking age raised to 21. Wasn't
That
that
is
one of the
correct.
In fact, didn't you talk to President about that?
Yes, I
One
did.
time I think I remember.
Yes, I
seeing
was.
that. You were at a luncheon with him or
That's
something?
right. Fortunately, I was invited out to the White House to
It's
a
fun,
luncheon.
isn't it?
Oh, it is. And you see, last year was the year to be a lady in politics. You know, with the gender gap, they were doing all they could to
Yeah.
help the ladies out. So all the lady legislators from the Midwest were invited to the White House. And one of the other state representatives in Illinois, who also happens to be an advance man for the president, travels with him to Japan and to China when he goes to the other places, just let the people in the White House know that I represented Eureka College, his alma mater. So it was my privilege to be able to sit next to the president.
Did a little switching the nameplates.
That's right. I wouldn't
No,
own up to
no.
that. But anyway, I have long been an advocate of raising the national drinking age to 21 because we have had trouble with our border states. For example, Wisconsin had an 18-year-old drinking age. We in Illinois have a 21-year-old drinking age. Our teenagers were
Yeah, they just
crossing
went
into
across the state,
Wisconsin
sure.
and coming back and killing themselves on our highways, causing massive bloody borders. And at the time that I went out there, the president was opposed to legislation that would cause us to have a 21-year-old drinking age. So I spoke to him, and he was still opposed at that time. But I continued. I wrote him a letter, and I spoke with like Elizabeth Dole, who is the National Transportation Secretary, and I passed a resolution through the Illinois State Legislature calling upon the president and the Congress to enact legislation that would result and the 21-year-old drinking age. And because of my efforts, I was invited to go out when the president signed the bill in the Rose Garden in the White House in July of
So
this past year.
You got to see that.
Oh,
was that fun?
It was.
Was that
It was
neat?
real
getting
nice.
Getting to meet
Yes.
him.
But one interesting thing about the 21-year-old drinking age is the fact, and this gives you a little bit of a lesson in lawmaking and in our Constitution. We do not have a law that says that nationwide we shall have a 21-year-old drinking age.
Right, it's not a law, it's
our federal Congress,
an incentive,
our
right?
federal Constitution will not allow the national Congress to inflict that type of law on our states. That is left entirely up to the states. So what they do is they pass a form of extortion. They say, unless you
Yeah.
raise
Well, it's
your
like the
drinking
speed
age
limit,
to
right?
21, we will
'Cause
withhold your federal highway funds. That
It's the
is
same thing
correct.
as the speed limit, right? They
That's
don't have to. Speed limit's not really a national law, but
Yes, what
the
they
states
do.
don't observe it. They don't get any money.
That's right. That's right. They don't get any highway money.
Yeah, that kind of makes them want to
Yes.
observe the speed limit, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Well, I'd love to sit here and talk to you for a long time. I think we're going to have fainting people up here with the 75-degree temperature way outside. It's gotten pretty hot in here, and we're going to be losing some band members over here pretty soon.
They'll be melting into their horns.
Anyway, it's happened before. No, we really want to thank you for coming here all the way from
Oh,
Henry.
well,
I know
it's my pleasure.
It's what, about a 45-minute drive, and
Yes.
take out but you brought the family, so you know,
Right.
it kind of makes it all worthwhile. Of course, I want to thank you for watching this week, and we're not going to be here next week because next week's spring break. So I think we're going TPing with Mrs. Knapp or something. I don't know. Yeah, after she, no. So my guess would be that next week will be a repeat. So no, but I'm sure it'll be some good show we'll run. So thanks for watching tonight, and we'll be back with a brand new show 2 weeks from tonight. Good night, everyone.
Yeah.